Greetings, demons, and welcome to Fast Track Reviews. So today we're going to be talking about Avatar 2: The Way of Water. And, yeah, there's a lot to discuss. Maybe not that much detail, but let's just get into it anyway. So, as always, I'm going to just do a brief overview of what kind of happens, so spoilers ahead if you care about that sort of thing. This all takes place like 10, 15, maybe 20 years after the events of the original Avatar, and that's purely based on the fact that we are told it's been 30 years since something happened, but then like there's children characters who are clearly no older than 20. So yeah, Jake Sully, the main character of Avatar 1, has 4 kids now. One is actually Grace's kid, Sigourney Weaver's kid, who they adopted because, if you don't know already from the first Avatar, Grace dies, or something to that effect. Her soul isn't transferred properly into her avatar form. It is what it is, it's whatever. And then there's also another kid, not part of Jake Sully's family, called Spider, who is revealed to be the Colonel's kid, the Colonel from the previous movie, the main bad guy. And yeah, we start off and everything's kind of, alright, the family's having a good time and everything. Then the Sky People return, the humans return, and completely burn up the forest. We skip to a year later, and we find out the Colonel's been reincarnated as Navi, along with a bunch of the other bad guys from the previous movie. And the technology is explained. It's essentially they created these avatars and a backup of their memories, so they could put those memories into the avatars so that they could live on. It just is kind of stupid, in my opinion, and there's a lot of stuff like that I'll get into potentially further in, but yeah, that's what you need to know. The Colonel's back. The main bad guy from the last movie is the main bad guy of this movie. It's just how it is. The Sully family flee to the Sea People, basically in a way to protect the forest people that they've been living with. And most of the film is them learning the way of water, learning how to ride various different sea creatures, interacting with the sea people who are still Na'vi, but different type of Na'vi. And just generally just doing things in water. It's questionable how they spend the time. It's a 3-hour movie, and I feel like an hour of it was not required at all. And that essentially leads to, we discover these whale creatures, I don't remember their names, but these whale creatures which have a bond with the Na'vi, with the Sea People. And the Colonel in Na'vi form joins up with some whalers, who then essentially go to war against Jake Sully, and kind of pull him out of hiding by attacking these sacred animals, these sacred whale creatures. There's a lot of various things that happen, a lot of deaths, a lot of pointless character motivations and stuff like that, which I'm just not going to get into because it's not that important to me, but, or rather, it's not important enough that I cover it, because clearly the film didn't care about them either. We have the eldest son of Jake Sully dying. Nearly everyone in Jake Sully's family dies, including Jake himself. And in the head-to-head between Jake Sully and the Colonel, both seemingly would have died because they both get trapped underwater. The Colonel is unconscious underwater, but Jake is saved by his other son, and unfortunately the Colonel is saved by a spider, which basically means the Colonel's going to be the villain for at least the third film, which is stupid. I'm not happy with how they've done the return of the Colonel, because the Colonel was such a good villain in the first one. Bringing him back seems redundant. It kind of undoes a lot of the work that the first movie did, and I just don't generally enjoy that. The Sullys are accepted by the Sea People, and that's kind of how it ends, with them being accepted, them accepting that they are now Sea People, which is fun, I guess. It means that we've got a different location, but I've got a feeling we're probably going to, in the next movie, relocate them again, so what's the point of ending kind of where the first one ended, and that's my biggest issue, is that this film feels like a complete retread, almost in its entirety, of the first movie, and not in a good way. Its story is, like, it can be broken down into 5 main bullet points. Jake has a family, the humans return, Sully family leaves the forest, the Sully family learn the way of water from the sea people, and the sea people fight whalers. That's the 5 main plot points that you actually need to know, and that isn't all that different from the first Avatar, where the only real difference is that Jake starts off having to learn all the Navi stuff and how to use the Avatar and stuff like that. It's mostly the same otherwise, even down to the villain being the same. I don't know. The cast is phenomenal in this film, honestly. Sigourney Weaver is actually playing her daughter, the adopted daughter, which is really, really fun. There's a lot of good acting. I mean, even Jake Sully, a character that was very cookie cutter in the first film, really does get some development in this one. There's not much I could say, though, in the grand scheme, that it's a good film, because it looks phenomenal. And, that was never in question. That was always going to be the case. It looks absolutely phenomenal, especially I watched it in 3D with laser and Ultra HD. It looked phenomenal. I think it was one of the greatest films I've ever seen aesthetically. But in terms of story, it is just so lackluster. It kind of hurts. And I think that's my main issue, is just how it feels redundant and like a tech demo. But at the end of the day, what can you actually expect from an Avatar sequel other than a really nice tech demo? It's disappointing. I paid way more than I think I should have to see this movie, and it being 3 hours makes it just take forever to watch. I don't want to say it's a bad film. I know I've already said that kind of already, but I don't want that to be my end note. But I mean, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. It's 3.5 stars. It's nothing special. It's good, but it's good in the way that it looks amazing and explores the world better. Because in terms of story, it basically doesn't have one. It's a lot of beautiful visuals and not much substance to go with it. And I think that really is going to be my end point. It's a bit of a disappointment. It explores the world, but in the same way that, like, the Disneyland ride does. Disney World ride, sorry. Which is disappointing beyond any measure, really. I hope that those that were really invested in Avatar 1 are going to enjoy this, and by the sounds of it, people are really enjoying the second film. I just didn't. I'm sure that in the next 10 years, or whenever the third film comes out, I will watch it, probably in cinema again, maybe even in IMAX this time. But I don't think I'm going to be too invested in the next one, or the next 7. So, yeah. In any case, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like it, subscribe now, and hit on the bell so you never miss upload. Otherwise, it's going to be up from me. Tell me what you think in the comments below about Avatar the Way of Water, if you've seen it yourself, or just the first Avatar if you haven't actually seen The Way of Water yet. And I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye!
It's been a long week. I feel like I could use a vacation.